Welcome to the Holistic Soul Sisters Radio, a channel created to help you heal holistically and grow spiritually. I'm your host, Mandi Rose. I'm not afraid to talk about taboo subjects, so nothing is off limits here. Make sure you hit subscribe and get ready to learn more from me and other experts on all things health, spirituality, astrology, lifestyle, relationships, and so much more. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Heartbreak to Heal mini-series. Today's episode is really special. It is featuring one of my closest girlfriends, Brittany Alexis, and she has a brand called ThatSelfishBitch. And her brand is all about teaching women to not only have a lot of confidence, but to prioritize their self-care. And I love how she explains in this episode that self-care is not just bubble baths and massages, but it's literally incorporated into everything we do all day long. So taking care of our body, using specialized nutrition, taking care of our mental health, making sure we have strong boundaries. Self-care is so essential because we tend to give so much to other people and forget about ourselves until we get into a place of illness, disease, mental health issues, or just straight up burnout and resentment towards other people. So I love the way that Brittany approaches self-care. I love how she is more of an empowerment coach and really helps women shine in all areas of their life. So I hope you enjoy this episode. It really applies to relationships because we do have to focus on taking care of ourselves and not expecting our partners to do that for us. So we dive into mothers and how they can incorporate more self-care and how in relationships you can make sure to not lose that piece of yourself. So enjoy the episode. If you have any questions for Brittany, you can follow her on social media at ThatSelfishBitch or send her a message and she will work with you one-on-one. So thank you again, Brittany, for being on, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode.
So much, Mandi. I cannot wait for this. I'm so excited.
We are going to be talking all about her brand today called ThatSelfishBitch. And when I heard about it, I was like, girl, tell me more. I don't know if I want to be a selfish bitch or not, but tell me all about it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. However, her journey has been so unique. And when we met, it was like divine intervention. We met at a clinic, an opening of a clinic that I probably never would have went to, but somehow the universe told me, let's go see what this is all about. And I walked in and I remember seeing you and I was like, I swear I've met this girl before. And when I asked you, you were like, no, there's no way.
No, I'm not from here. I just got to town. I promise it's not me. But yeah, I know it was definitely a connection. That was so amazing. And then it's just like been this little love story ever since.
Right? We just connect on everything: nutrition, cleansing, gut health, spirituality.
I mean, women, working with women, all the things. Yeah, we really do. We had a lot in common. So, which brings us right here to this. Now our work is coming together in this beautiful mix, and it's so perfect. I love it.
And I love what you do. Like, you are a nutrition coach, but you're also a self-care coach. And the two kind of fall in line. You know, I think a lot of times when we think about our nutrition and we think about cleansing and our gut health and all of that, we come from a space where it's like, oh, my body's failing me. Like, I need to do these things. I have to. And it can feel like really tough and icky, you know, like, oh, I have to pay attention to my nutrition or I can't eat that. But this whole selfish bitch concept and self-care, it's like, I'm doing it because I give a fuck about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that like matters so much. And so I love how you kind of blend the whole thing. And I know it really comes from a lot of your history and your past and the things that you've dealt with. So do you want to kind of share with everyone a little bit about you, like your journey and how like self-care has become so important for you?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would love to. Thank you. So you're absolutely right. I mean, I have been a health coach for years now, and okay, like we get it. It's eat this and don't eat that, right? Like, cool. But if that were just it, like, we would all be doing a lot better out here. And so what I came to notice of over, again, my own personal experience and working with clients and other friends and just other women, in general, we aren't understanding that everything in our life is being reflected in our physical health. So it's not just about the food. It's about What else are you going through in life right now? What is your day, what does your morning look like? How do you get out of bed in the morning? What are your relationships like? What is your job like? What's your money like? Do you have money? Are you able to pay your bills? Like, that's a big one that people don't necessarily understand, that all these things go into self-care. And nutrition is a huge part of it, of course. Personalized nutrition. Again, we're back to the self. Like, it's not just these cookie cutter diets and everything that everyone's out here doing. It's what works for you and how do you figure that out. So, yeah. And again, there's also this big movement, which I love right now, around self care and self love, and everyone's into it. It's all mainstream, right? But it's sometimes like, kind of lofty, right? It's like, okay, love yourself. Yeah, like, oh, you got to love yourself first. You got to put yourself first. But then, like, when we go to the practical side of it, well, what does that really look like? Like, how do you love yourself? And I think that that's where self care comes in, because self care is that self love put in practice, right? You're deliberately taking care of yourself in every way. So, yeah, that means you're taking care of your body. That means you're taking care of your work. And yeah, it means rest sometimes, but I don't like the idea that's out there in the mainstream that self-care is some form of escapism, right? Like, it needs to be that, no, I'm not making time for self-care, but everything I do is self-care. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I really want everyone to like rewind, hit that like back 30-second button a couple times and listen to what she just said again, because oh my gosh, in like that 1 minute, I just had so many like downloads and like aha moments. Like the first thing you said was like about the nutrition, like it's self nutrition. Like we are personalized, it's for ourselves. And when you said that, I kept thinking, wow, being selfish is like about ourself, like and it's breaking down the word in a way where I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. And then the other thing you brought up was like, it's such a mainstream concept, right? Like it's almost so overused that when we hear it, we're like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Like I got to go take a bubble bath tonight and I got to like write on my mirror, I love you, Mandy. Like that's what we're being preached that self-care is. And although those things are great, it's kind of the intention behind it. And I love how you say that like our whole day should be about our self-care.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people have commented that on like my Instagram when I show like my whole daily routine. They're like, do you really just like do stuff for your health all day long? Like, isn't that exhausting? And I'm like, no, I freaking love it. Like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, what would make me feel good? Okay, not being on social media and going for a walk. Okay, at 10 o'clock, what would make me feel good? Taking some vitamin C. At noon, what would make me feel good? A really dank, amazing lunch, Like, I do all day long constantly think about myself.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that I've found that I'm happy, that I have money flowing to me, that I have good relationships. So like I love that you brought up that point. That was a huge aha, and I hope it brings ahas to other people.
Well, and that's how you are able to sit here and show up for the world in the way that you are and put all this amazing work out and connect with other leaders and other people and work together. You're showing up to serve because that's what we're here to do.
Mhm.
But you're not really doing that if you're not even able to, if you can't get out of bed in the morning because you have no energy, or if you're not paying your bills, you're stressed about that all day. Like, if life is running you, you're not really able to serve and show up. So the funny thing is, yes, it's called Selfish Bitch, but the play is that really we know we're here to serve. But the first step is taking care of yourself, and we're here to serve God, and the Almighty God is the one that's living in you. So you're serving yourself. You're doing what you need to do out here, and other things just line up. I mean, they just do. There's no choice but for it to happen. It's literally the laws of energy. What you put your attention to thrives and grows. So if you're focusing on growing and taking care of yourself and all the ways, then it's nothing else that can happen but everything you want to come true. And there's a process. It's not just like, oh, yeah, wake up. You should already know how to do this. It's like, okay, No, but I have figured that out a little bit and I have some steps. And I believe if you follow these steps, you will be doing very well for yourself.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I can't wait to get more into kind of like the steps and like the basics, but let's just go like super basic at first. So, what does being a selfish bitch mean?
Okay, that is a very great question. And it's probably the number one question that anyone ever asks me. They're like, what? A selfish bitch? What is that? Okay, so it's just like you said, it is very basic. I don't have to get basic. It is basic. It means taking care of yourself. So while that sounds very basic and, whatever, it's really like, okay, well, what's the first step in doing that? Number one, to me, that is your belief. A selfish bitch, above all, believes that she is that bitch. She doesn't believe it. She knows it. She wakes up being like, damn, it is a good day to be me today. And the reason why is because she knows, like, we know that anything that we want in this life is possible. But the only way it's possible is to believe it. Like you have to believe it. Okay. So, number one, she believes with everything in her that anything that she can see in her mind is possible. So then that's inspiring, right? So once you got that step down, you're like, well, damn, okay, now what the fuck do I want? Okay, like I can have anything. Okay, great. So I would say step two is getting clarity. So decluttering, like she is organized, she is clean, she's not cluttered, nothing's cluttered around her. And it sounds really like that might not be a big deal, but I promise you, when your spaces are clean, your physical spaces, like the clarity that you get, and you can actually like just visualize better. You really have just that space you need physically, energetically, both, to see what it is that you want and get those plans laid out, right? So that type of thing. And then yeah, fear is going to come up. Yeah, self doubt is going to come up. All these limiting beliefs are going to come up, being like, no, but at the end of the day, it's like she's in control of that. She sees, she knows where she's going, what she wants, who she is. And that's step one. You can get the body you want. Yeah, you can get the money that you need to come in, and those relationships will come. But first and foremost, it's always the belief. And also another part of that is she's not walking around talking shit about herself every day. That's also the thing. I
Hmm.
know we have this funny little habit of putting ourselves down as women all day, which is just the most ridiculous thing. And it's not funny. Like
It's
we'll
self
laugh and
torture.
it's like, okay, what? I walk around saying things like, yeah, I'm not very good at that, or I this and that, or, and we do these things, and sometimes it's unconscious. We've always been doing it, or people will say to us, like, well, oh, that's cool, but what are you really going to do? If you have a big dream or you share things, so it's something very common in our industry. Oh, you have to come up with your story, right? What's your story? How'd you get from here to there? And it's like, well, I get that. And I think that there's a lot of respect that I have for the past. And I mean, obviously, it's important because you don't want to wake up and do those things again that you've learned from, but also not to attach yourself to that and not identify so much with these traumas, and we do it and we've all been abused, right? We've all been through some trauma, but more importantly is having that vision of who you truly are, number one, and where you're trying to go. So that's another good attribute she has. She's not stuck in the suffering cycle anymore. She's like, okay, yeah, I've been there, I've done that, but here we are. Let's go. Let's move forward, because that's all we have. The main thing, like I said, that we all have in common is that we believe in ourselves. We believe anything is possible, and we show up, and take inspired action toward knowing ourselves a little more fully each day.
I love that. And I guess kind of like, I want to address this like right at the beginning of the podcast because I think so many people hear the word selfish and
Mhm.
it's such a story they've heard their whole life. Like, let's say they took an action, like, in their family and they made a decision to move somewhere. And then their family members say, you're so selfish. You're doing this because it's for you and you don't care about us, you know? And I think we've been preached the word selfish in such a negative way that when now we hear the word selfish, our immediate, like, you know, connection to the word is, I don't want to be that. Ew, no, people have told me that's a bad thing. So I really want to address that like right at the beginning of this podcast. So as we move forward and talk about how amazing it is to be selfish, we've kind of nailed down the fact that like it isn't a bad word. It's, you know, actually a word that people use to manipulate you sometimes. And we need to let that go. You know, it's not a bad thing to be selfish. So can you kind of talk about the good versus bad selfish, or kind of like that, how to break that down in our mind so we can move on and become a selfish bitch?
Mhm. Yeah, and I love this because obviously this always comes up, but for me, I think it is so silly to even like have a little bit of an idea that being selfish is bad. Like that doesn't exist for me. Like I don't know if it's because I was an only child or because it's just how I am, but who I mean the thing is, and as an adult, I kind of just kept thinking, you know, okay, well, everything's going to be taken care of. Everything's going to be taken care of. And at a certain point, you realize no one is coming to save you. Like, no one, no one. And that doesn't mean it's whatever it is, right? No one's coming to drop off your publisher's clearinghouse check. I mean, no one else is going to, you know, suffer from what I'm eating and not eating, or no one else is going to have to, you know, show up in the relationship and keep dating the same different person over and over. I'm the one doing that. So guess what? Like I'm responsible out here. And I think that's so empowering. Once you take responsibility and you decide like, look, everything that's going on in my life right now is my fault, then maybe being selfish isn't so bad, because I've been putting everyone else first for so long, and look where I am. Look where I am. I'm at this job that I don't like, but I'm too afraid to disappoint the people that I work for. I am in this cycle where, yeah, I want to lose weight. I've been overweight my whole entire life, but it's too inconvenient to try to do this right now. I need to wait for the better time. I'll start on Monday with my health. That's a good time. And all in all, what we're doing is we're programming our subconscious. You know, we're programming it and we're teaching it that we are not first. So that's okay, because consciously we feel good, right? Because when we do things for other people, oh, it feels so good. And like, oh, Brittany, you're such a good friend. You brought me soup when I was sick. And I'm like, yeah, well, I had like 5 hours of work to do and I had to drive an hour out of my way to do it. And it really messed me up because I was thrown off the full next day. But I'm such a good friend, so I feel good. And then that endorphin rush goes up, you know, and we're like, oh, okay. It's like taking a hit of drugs. It's like it's only there for a minute, but it does give you that instant gratification because that's what we're taught we should do. We're taught that we should get our validation externally, and doing that over and over has us sicker than ever. It has us depressed. It's got us with all these health disorders that no one can figure out. They're just these mystery illnesses that we all have. And it's crazy. And it's like, it's all because we are not addressing ourselves and putting ourselves first. So I don't know that there's a good and a bad selfish. I think be selfish, period. Because you don't have a choice out here. Choice is an illusion. You put everyone else first for so long, and life will show you that that really wasn't the way. But I don't want you to have to do that. I want you to start today. Start doing these things today. Put yourself first. Decide. You are literally one decision away from your best life. Decide that this is what you're going to do. Not on Monday, not tomorrow, not when my kids get to this age or that age. There's a whole nother story about women. About mothers with self-care and putting themselves first, because that's a tough one. I can't relate. I don't have kids, but I do firmly stand by, especially when you have children. Put yourself first. They are watching you and you are teaching them to put themselves last. So if nothing else, you know.
Well, I love that because it goes with one of these analogies that I heard and it has stuck with me like for the last couple years. And everyone says, you got to fill your cup so you can like give to others, right? And it's like this concept of like, if your cup isn't completely full and like it's half empty, then you have to fill it till it's full. Then it gets half empty again. Then you fill it again and then it's half empty. And I had this therapist tell me, at no point should your cup ever be half full.
Yeah.
Like if it's to the point where it's half full, you're already depleted and you should not be giving anyone anything at that point. And you should just focus to the point that you can get back to that full cup. But because I said to her, I'm like, well, if I do that, then I'm going to be letting down my family. I'm going to let down my husband. My friends aren't going to want to be my friends anymore. And so it was this concept of like, if I become selfish, then people are going to think I'm selfish, right? But what she said to me is, no, actually the opposite will happen. When your cup is so full that it's overflowing, everyone around you gets the spillover. And that's beautiful. The more spillover you have, the more people you can serve, the more people you can give to. But if it's constantly half full and then full, then half full, then half, like in the moments that you're half full, you're giving to nobody, period, zero. And so I just keep thinking all the time, like my cup needs to be so damn overflowing so I can show up and spread it to hundreds of people, thousands of people, and not just like the 1, 2, 3 people in my life.
So
Overflowing. So being selfish now, that's what I think of. Like that cup is overflowing because I'm selfish. Like you're welcome.
Yes, exactly. Yes, people should be thanking you. We should really want other people to be selfish. I mean, why not? Like, why would you want somebody running themselves down? Like, you have to. Like, you have to. I personally am not running out here to save anyone. So I really want you to be doing it on your own.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, like, just, it's so, I mean, we've been in situations before, like, it's not a good feeling depending on someone. You cannot thrive. Women, we cannot access that creative power and creative energy when we are in survival mode. Men too. I say women because we work with a lot of women, and I'm sure a lot of women are listening to this right now. But to be able to be in that flow, in that creative state, in that and be in that full feminine power, you need that balance, and it's easy to do. You can't constantly be in this masculine grind mode and acting like everything is external. Go inside yourself for a while. Yeah, maybe do take a bubble bath, but only for reflection, not because a bubble bath is self-care. It's not all it is, folks. But like sit in there and spend some time with yourself. Get really intimate with yourself. Sit there, look at yourself naked, do mirror work, like really get to know yourself, really, really love yourself, like in all the ways. Have that romantic relationship with yourself. When you get out of the shower, like rub your lotion on extra slow and really feel your skin and feel your body, just like really appreciate yourself, because I promise you, you are that bitch. You might not see it right now, but you are that bitch.
I
Better
love
start
that.
treating yourself like that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So I kind of want to because you brought up like the whole thing with moms, and I'm not a mother and you're not a mother. However, I feel like that kind of gives us such a great external perspective for mothers, because I think moms forget that they were once a woman only responsible for herself. And as mothers, kind of, you are who you surround yourself with. So a lot of moms surround themselves with other moms. However, you then absorb their thoughts and their beliefs, and like you can't ever get outside of that. So if you're a mother listening to us and you're like, oh, well, they're not moms, like they don't know what they're talking about, I want you to like take a pause and just kind of say, what can I learn that I'm not hearing on the regular? Hey, you need to take time out for yourself. And they're like, well, I don't have time. I don't have time. I have these rugrats like running around everywhere, and I have my husband nagging me and like all these things. So what is your advice? And like, how can mothers find little pockets of time in the time that they don't have for being a selfish bitch? Like just a couple, maybe like set examples. Like I love how you said, like even rubbing lotion on yourself. So what else can you kind of think of that like would help a mom?
Yeah, and thank you for putting it that way, Mandy. I think that was great because, I sometimes will bite my tongue and be like, oh, I shouldn't say anything to a mom, because, you don't want to, I think that's the hardest job in the world. And then they have like multiple of them, some of them have a lot of them running around. I'm like, oh my God, okay. So I do kind of bite my tongue, but you're right. We do have this external perspective. And I think basically all my friends have kids, and they do ask me, and they do come to me for advice. And I'm a big believer in, make it your life. You shouldn't really have to carve out special time in your day to do self-care, right? So even if you have kids, like, it should still be part of your day. And like you said, the rubbing lotion on or whatever, but also at the end of the day, there are only 24 hours still. So maybe you're having to get up that hour earlier and do your meditation and do your, or whatever your routines and rituals are, which is something that I think is important and every woman should have, are those set routines and rituals and those daily morning routines, so maybe that's your time. And maybe, you know your, whatever your schedule is, I don't know what you necessarily have to do, but you are going to have to manage that. And you are going to have to say, like, okay, if I'm working, this is the time that I'm working. I have to get a nanny. That's a choice you have to make. And also, emotional intelligence is huge, I think, especially when it comes to kids, because you've got mom guilt. You don't, number one, it's like, oh, I feel bad for leaving my kids, but also, I don't want to leave my kids to do these things. You probably want to spend time with them, I guess. I don't know. You had them. I'm assuming you do. But I feel like, your kids can drink a green smoothie in the morning too, or you can make healthy things. You can use, like, you can teach them what you're doing all day instead of trying to do it around them. And that's just
Ooh,
a good way of
I love that.
things down. Yeah, exactly. And if you're working, you have some laptop time, like, tell your kid you're working and give them something to work on, creative, or something cool, and be like, this is the time that we work. I don't know. And I know that that's probably really idealistic, and moms are probably like, yeah, right. Like, that kid would never sit down. But I mean, the point is, like, you got to make it work for you.
Yeah.
So you know your life, and you have to schedule it out and do what you got to do, and play with it. Maybe it's going to take some trial and error to see how it works. But at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of ways to incorporate it still throughout your day. Like, you're eating with your kids, you're playing with your kids, so you're outside walking, or you're inside, you're being active. There's a lot of things that you can do that you're still taking care of yourself. And this whole idea of, oh, well, my kids can't eat the same thing that I can, so I have to make all these extra meals or whatever. It's like, no, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Your kids need to be eating vegetables too.
Yes.
Fruits and vegetables. So, like, that's something that people will say or whatever. But yeah, and my friends that are moms are tired, Mandi. They are tired. So I don't know how you're going to do it to make it work for you. But what I will say is, do it and make it work. Start prioritizing yourself. Like, your kids really, really want you to. If you're feeling guilty about it, don't, because how are you gonna continue this? Like I said, we're already sicker than our parents' generation was. So being aware of those things, and just incorporating it into your daily life in whatever way works for you. That's how you got to do it with kids.
And I love how you kind of brought up, like, involve them in it. I think that's like a major thing when I coach women and we talk about, like, their nutrition and their gut health and stuff. It's like, talk to your kids about these things. So I think this whole being selfish concept is a great communication you can have with your children, and say, like, this 1 hour of the day is for ourselves. So mommy's going to take care of mommy's self, and you're going to take care of yourself. How would you like to do that today? Would you like to take care of yourself by playing outside and taking care of your body? Would you like to take care of your mind today by, like, coloring and being creative and putting something together? Would you like to take care of your sister, because you want to, be loving towards her, like, and kind of give them options of, how do you want to take care of yourself in this 1 hour? We're going to set a timer for 60 minutes. Mommy's going to take care of herself by watching a YouTube video that's inspiring. And what are you going to do for your 1 hour for yourself? And, like, think about it. If you teach your child that at such a young age, to set time in their day for just themselves, not because you have to do homework, not because you have to please your teacher, not because you have to go out and play with your friends, not because you even have to do something for mommy. Like, can you pick up your toys for mommy? Like, no, you want to pick up your toys for you, so you feel better in the morning. And so just the way we word it and the way we, like, include them, like, that's what kids crave. They want to be included in adult activities. They want to be included in real world things. It's just making it so that they're setting up great habits as they move on. So that's kind of like my suggestion. I mean, again, I'm not a mom, but like
So
conversations
good.
with kids are great.
No, they are. And so right. And that is such a beautiful way to put that in your, because we always say that to kids, right? Oh, do this for me or do that for me or whatever. And it's like, no, do it for you. And that's so powerful. The other thing that you reminded me of, I mean, obviously that's going back to the subconscious programming, right? And how they grow up and how they think like how we think now, or how we've had to uncondition ourselves. It's like, oh, I have to be good because of this, or I have to do that because these people. It's everything is so externally validated, and teaching that from a young age is so good and so important.
The science is coming out more and more on, our generation realizing how impacted we are from childhood, our attachment styles and our relationships, the way we speak to ourselves in our mind, so many of these things that we then have to do extra self-care to kind of deprogram those and reprogram. It's like when you
Yeah.
reinstall hardware on your computer, first you got to like wipe your hardware and then you
Yeah.
reinstall the new software. And that's kind of like most of the people in their 30s are like, oh crap, I have to deinstall a lot of files that I was told as a child. And now I'm having to like reprogram with all these things that are like exactly the opposite of what I've been told my whole life, to be
Exactly.
selfish,
I
like
know.
to
I
care
know.
for myself, to quit my corporate job and like do things for me, like all these, like
Yeah.
everyone, if you're in your 30s and you're listening to this, you know what I'm talking about. We're like,
Right.
wait a
And
second,
probably, yeah, like
I'm just a big fucked up like neurons in my brain. Like, what do I do now? And now we're all going through like 30-year-old life crises of like, I just want to backpack around Europe and like make
I know.
millions. Like,
Yeah, I know. From my phone.
we don't
'Cause
even know what we're doing anymore. Like, we don't have an example of the older generation. It doesn't apply to us. And so we have to be so mindful of our younger generation and how we make them feel when they choose to be selfish. Like, and I love how you said earlier, like, you want the people around you to be selfish. And I think let's switch from mommies to like relationships. I think often we get into relationships and being selfish. We want the other person to do all these things, right? Cater to my every need, like get me coffee in the morning, write me love notes, check in 10 times a day, buy me flowers, take me on trips, like do this, do this, do this, do this for me.
yeah.
And that whole like, but then when your partner is like, I need to go play golf because I need to fuel my own soul. You're like, you don't want to hang out with me? What about me? And I, in my relationship, have many conversations around like, I need you to be selfish. I need you to do things that fill your own cup. How do you like feel like, I'm sure women come to you too with like relationships and that like selfish kind of concept. So how do you navigate that, like being selfish in a relationship or with people that you talk to and your clients?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, relationships. Oh, now we're throwing another person into the mix. Okay.
That's always the hardest when someone else is in there killing and changing
I
the vibe.
I just get myself right, but here we are at the end of the day just wanting, love and to be loved. And I mean, it's just such an annoying thing, but we all and here we go. So yeah, no, throwing another person into the self-care game. All right. So I have to go back to these limiting beliefs again. I'm always going to go back to the beliefs because I I know that when you are clear on your beliefs and what you want and who you are and in your own personal like goals and your vision, that's the only way to fully, first of all, attract a mate who's going to not be the same person that you attracted all these other times, right? So if you're still number one in the same place that you've always been and you're not making moves, I honestly don't suggest even trying to get into a relationship. Like focus on the relationship with yourself because all you're going to do is you're going to attract your traumas. Like, so we're going to beliefs, but then that's going to shift really closely into actively healing your traumas, actually becoming aware of and healing your traumas, because relationships often, like you said, we depend on the other person to do all these things and to be all these things for us. And what we're failing to understand is the people that we've attracted in the relationship is us. Like the things that are driving us crazy in another person is the thing that is unhealed in you. So if you are single, you can probably go back through your last couple of relationships and be like, what went wrong here? And start there. If you don't know where to start with this healing process, start there. There's a good spot. Or what are the other patterns that keep coming up? But I think that's really the most important. You have to be responsible for yourself. You're not in this relationship to make for the other person to make you happy. You're responsible for that. And that honestly, to be fully transparent, that's still something that's hard for me. Sometimes in relationships, I'm like, I am making me so happy, but you still need to hang out with me all the time. Like, what? Like, yeah, I'm very happy, but I'd also really like if I could just see you so I know what you're doing all the time. That type of thing. And that's obviously trauma. So I just am aware of that and I noticed it and then I go on. In relationships, I think it's the same thing. If you're coming to the table full, if you're coming to the table overflowing with your cup, like you said, that's a good place to start. If you're not there, I don't suggest it. If you're in a relationship and you don't feel like you're all the way full, start incorporating some of these things and notice the response that you get from your partner. You should have a partner there that's supporting everything you're doing. So if you start feeling some resistance, or if you felt like, I don't know, maybe not in this relationship, and you start prioritizing yourself and putting yourself first, notice that response and then go from there. Again, every relationship is so unique and individual. I'm not going to be the one you're not going to catch me being like, leave him, it's not working. I'm not out here to do that. I want to support love. I love it. I love when things work out and things go beautifully. But I again, like, as much as I love, I love you more, and I want you to love you the most. So yeah, just keep putting yourself first, and have your own identity. Don't let go of your hopes and dreams and put everything you have into the relationship, because that's not gonna be the recipe as far
Could
as
you, so let's say someone's listening and they're in a relationship, they've been in a relationship for a long time and they are like hearing this and they're like, I want to be that selfish bitch. So how can I keep my relationship that matters to me and be that selfish bitch at the same time? What are
oh,
some like words, verbiage, language that they could use to communicate with their partner of like what they're trying to do? Like for me, I think it would be something like, I've heard about this. It seems like something that's speaking to my soul. I want to kind of explore like how I can better take care of myself. And I don't want you to feel like I don't care about you anymore, but I feel like caring about me first, and that's like me just on a basic level, but you're like the self-care expert. So like what's some words, some terminology, some like verbiage they can use to explain it to their partner or their family or to anyone to help someone else make sense of like why they want to be selfish, like,
yeah, that's a really good question too. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty much like, I'm doing me. That's
okay, I
I
like it. I
I
like
mean,
it.
seriously, because look, do you know how sexy a woman who has her shit together is? You know
Yes.
how sexy a woman who puts herself first is, completely unapologetically like, yeah, no, I'm doing this at this time and I have this going on, and I'll see you because I like you and I want to be with you, but I have these priorities, I have these goals. This is what I'm here on earth to do. That is sexy. That is hot. Like, having a big fat bank account is hot. Like, having that type of, like, that's all good. You should really, I mean, if you want to have the conversation, I think go for it. Go for it. But also, I also think it's kind of sexy to move in silence, like, just start making moves. Let them say something. Let them say, "Oh, I noticed this or that." And be like, "Yeah, thank you." And always say thank you. I don't care if they're trying to take a jab at you or not. You'd be like, "Thank you." Just, yes, say it with a big ass confident smile. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's the way. Don't say anything. But I'm like that. I'm kind of like ninja moves, just move in silence, show up, and have them be like, "Ooh, okay." How are you going to show up and be in a relationship and be cool if you're like struggling to make money and stuff like that? I don't mean to keep referencing money, but like, if you're not taking care of your body and you don't feel good, how are you going to show up in the bedroom and be super confident? And if you're not, then that could start something else. Somebody could feel insecure, and it's really all just stemming from the fact that you're not taking care of yourself. No, it's not that you weren't attracted to them or you didn't want to hook up that night. It was like you were feeling kind of down about yourself, but now your partner is feeling like there was something wrong, and maybe they're thinking there was a whole nother person or something there, and so they're getting, you're fighting their demons and their insecurities then, and really it all just stems from the fact that you weren't being authentic, you weren't being yourself, and you're not putting yourself first. So there's kind of a trickle down effect too. That's why
My
it's
gosh, yes. I love that you just brought that up because I know for me, like that's happened many times, like through my healing journey when my body was like really skinny and I wasn't like feeling my most confident self. I at times expected my partner to be the one to make me feel sexy again. It was like I put that on him. Like, I need you to tell me I'm hot this many times a day. I need you to come and attack me and want me. I need you to do all these things when really what was wrong is I wasn't being selfish and I wasn't taking care of my body. I wasn't getting back in the gym. I expect my partner to do the things that I need to be selfish enough to do. And so I love that you brought that up because it does trickle this whole excess stuff in our relationships. When if I just would have been more freaking selfish and said, no, I'm taking this hour to go to the gym because I need to for me, it would have taken the pressure off of him. And then I could have showed up more sexy in my own skin. And it would just been more of an authentic relationship versus like, I need you to do this to fix me.
Exactly. And you know how it is. You absolutely know how it is when you're on it, and and again, it's whatever that means for you, but I know you're a personal trainer, you're into health coaching and all that. So when you're taking care of yourself in the way that fuels you, which is eating well and working out and working, and I know work is important to you as well. So when you're doing all those things, how much better do you feel about yourself, and how much is your energy that you're bringing to your relationship different? I mean, it is. Anybody listening knows it is. When you're going through a period where you are on your shit, nobody can tell you shit. You're like, what? Huh? What, mm, no, like you don't hear it because you're like, no, I am that bitch. And I mean, that's a side effect of being that selfish bitch. Like really, no one can tell you anything so cool. Like you think this about me, don't care. That confidence level goes through the roof.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so kind of to like wrap it up and have people like take this whole theory and like all this stuff we've been saying and put it into their practical life. They're like, okay, I hear you. I got it. I want to be that selfish bitch. Now I'm going to wake up tomorrow and do what? Like, just tell me what to
I
do, right?
know,
Because
I
that's
know.
all people probably want from you. Just tell me what to do. And I'm sure you work with people one on one. So I want you to kind of share that at the end, like how you work with people. And I can kind of see it in my head where it's like weekly check ins, like homework, like, do you do this? Do you do that? And like break down these self
Yeah.
limiting beliefs. So I want you to definitely dive into that. But for the girl who's listening right now and is like, I'm motivated, I hear you. What do I do now tomorrow? Like, can you give us
Yeah.
like three things? Like, what would your day look like tomorrow as a selfish
Okay,
bitch?
that's a good one.
Practical way,
Tomorrow. That is so perfect. So to get started, like I said,
not Monday.
not Monday. Yeah, I know. Like today, what can I do today? Tonight, you can start your bedtime routine. So let me give you the top 3 things I think you should do to start becoming a selfish bitch today. And actually, I have 7, but I'll give you my top 3, and you can go download my top 7 off my Instagram and click the link, and you will get your free download. But 3, I will go right back to where I always do, which is your beliefs. So what we're going to do is we're going to start auditing your limiting beliefs and your language and start getting in there and seeing what's happening. Like you said, right about now, 20s, 30s ish is when we're all going like, oh, great, I need to completely gut this house of limiting beliefs and rebuild it all. Like, damn it. So that's always going to be where we start. We're going to look into number one, what your beliefs are, where did they come from, and why they're false beliefs to begin with. So that's where we always have to start. And the second place is because of my background, and just because I think it's the most important, I think the personalized nutrition plan is going to be your next stop. You have to take care of your body. Like if your body is not taken care of, you can't think, you can't really, you know, get that clarity. I right under personalized nutrition is going to be like clarity and goal setting and that type of stuff, but I do that on purpose and put personalized nutrition first because you and me both know like that mental clarity, that post detox mental clarity is next level. So I think you should be clean and clear physically, and then start mapping out your goals and getting clear on, like I said, exactly what you want, so you can start giving those clear messages to the universe, and it can send what you want back to you. That's exactly how it works. The number three is routines and rituals. This is so, so important. This is where we do, the bubble baths and the, all these like escapism sort of activities. It's like, yeah, that if that's important to you, I think absolutely 1,000% you should do it. You should take a bubble bath every day if that's what you want, if that's part of your routine and ritual. But as far as like physically how the body works, how our nervous system works, all these things, it's really important to have routines. So your morning routine is very important. Getting up at the same time, making sure you're journaling or whatever your morning routine is, but making sure you're doing the same thing every day, eating at the same times every day. Bedtime routines are super important. And then the rituals. So what's something that's extra sacred that you do that's very important to yourself, that makes you feel good? I don't care if it's getting your nails done. I don't care if it's getting a hotel room one night a month in your city and just living lavish and penthouse style. I don't know what it is, but rituals are important too. You need to make sure that you're honoring that, just like holidays and things. They make you feel there's just certain energy around those things. So those would be my top three, but there's a good seven that you could do that are doable starting today, starting now, nothing putting off, and it's easy, just start one by one. Pick something that you can do today. Let's give them this. Let's say drink water. Can we make it simple? Can we drink half your body weight in ounces of water today? Because you'll feel really good about yourself tonight if you do that, I promise.
I love that. I love it. And I love the auditing your thoughts, because it's free. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You don't have to go out of your way to do it. Even the busiest person can do that. When you're driving in the car, instead of listening to music, turn the music off. And think to yourself, what am I thinking to myself today? How many times did I tell myself today that I'm not perfect? How many times did I criticize myself? How many times was I actually my enemy and not my best friend?
Yes. And just taking note, being mindful of
Just mindful. You don't judge it. You don't say, oh, wow, I'm freaking horrible to myself. No. There's no judgment. Just audit. Just be the external observer and go, oop, I did it again. Whoop, I did it again. Whoops. And be aware. I guess that's like the biggest thing. Just be aware, because awareness brings change more than anything, I think.
It's so true. It's so true. It's exactly. We start there, and then we do the best we can. We're all in this together, right? Like, we are all in this together. And I love that you've created this space for us to all be and connect. And this is just such a beautiful interview, and I'm so excited, and thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so glad you could come on and share your genius. I think what you have is just so monumental. It helps women. It helps, humanity. Honestly, we help one person, it helps the world. And so can you kind of just share a little bit as we sum up how people can get a hold of you, what kind of you offer? I know you offer some other things besides just self-care. So feel free to share that with everyone and how they can get a hold of you.
Perfect. So you can find me on Instagram at ThatSelfishBitch, exactly like it sounds, ThatSelfishBitch. I'm there. We can work together however you like. Let me know if you want to do some self-care coaching and get your whole entire life together. I also specialize specifically in detox. So if you're looking for a detox program, it is an amazing time of year in the spring now to cleanse and do a detox. So I am happy to help you there and be your guide. We can work together, or we can just chit chat, hang out, send me a message. I would love to hear from you and love what you have to think about Selfish Bitch, or just what your self-care routines are. I'm always looking to connect online.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Brittany. And I miss you so much. I'm in Florida. She's in LA. So we have a bi-coastal relationship.
It's true. It's true. But I miss you too. And I know I'm going to see you very soon.
Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I'll catch you in the next one. And until then, keep healing holistically and growing spiritually.